So this is a project that I set for my beginners class. It's a scallop shell and it's glued down onto a backing board just with a piece of paper, just normal PVA glue, piece of paper in between, and it holds it nice and firm. Okay, so the first thing with any carving is to get the main shape sorted out. So I'm just going to start bashing some bits out here. Always start off taking the corners off sort of 45-degree angle. Ignore any detail at this stage, because what I'm after is a nice overall shape in both directions. So I'm just ignoring any detail at the minute. Keep an eye on the direction of your grain. You might have to turn your piece of wood round. I'm using a number 2 chisel, gouge. Reasonable size just to rough it out. Now I've got my corners off, I'm just starting to flatten it off and to come back and get that nice even shape all the way around. Once you've got your bulk off, you can start doing some work with the hand, just by hand, just to start smoothing it off. This is a piece of lime, so it's nice and soft and even. It's a good thing to start with for beginners. So all the time I'm working either with or sometimes across the grain. You can work across the grain if you use this nice sort of slicing action. You can either push it or pull it to get that, so you slice across your wood. You get a really nice clean cut. The beauty of this little project, it has all this kind of techniques you might need for any carving, pretty much in this one little project. So the next stage is to put in our lines. So I'm just going to draw these in. I'll put the bottom line in. I'm going to start off just with a centre line. I normally start off with the top and the bottom and then just sort of join them up. Just gives you somewhere to go to, so I'm just going to put a bit in there. And then I'll just divide this up equally. Again, try and get this stage as accurate as you can. If you can get nice even divisions between your lines, it makes a big difference later on. This one, because it's got that scroll, it goes around the corner, you'll definitely need to scroll that round like that. And in fact, actually I'm going to adjust that one already, look, just to take that into account. So I'm trying to keep those measurements nice and even. I'm going to turn this round just because the same with when you're carving, you need your wrist or something down on your board so that you can get a nice flowing line, so you're not up in the air. Okay, so we've got our lines drawn on there nicely. Now we're going to use the V tool, which is this one here. You can see the V. I like the V with a fairly steep angle on them, not the 45-degree ones. Two ways of doing this. You can either do it by hand, so I'm going to start off at the bottom here. It's obviously fairly shallow here and getting deeper as we come up to this end, as our segments get wider. You can either do it by hand like this, so I'm just going to gradually come up, fairly shallow to start with, and then I'll come back again and just make it slightly deeper. Or you can come in with a mallet. You need to get behind the mallet, a bit like a snooker cue, in a nice straight line. And just gently tap up. As you're going around the corner, you have to kind of follow it round, so as you go up on tiptoe and follow it round the corner. At this stage too, if your lines aren't quite right, you can make adjustments with your V-tool. Okay, so they're looking pretty nice and even. So all we're going to do now is round those over. I'm going to come in with this nice number 3 fishtail here, which is a really nice tool for modelling and general shaping. I'm going to use that slicing cut again. I'm going to come up and take the 45 degrees off, like I did before on the main shape. And then I'm going to come back and take a bit off the top. This is where practicing those really fine cuts comes in really useful. Just taking off very small amounts. Try and keep your cuts fairly long, just to keep that nice flow going. Okay, so now here we're going to be starting to go against the grain, so this is where those slicing cuts really come in. Can you see how I'm really doing that twisting action? Because I'm actually cutting against the grain, but if you slice like that, on a piece of wood like this, it'll cut quite nicely. So I've rounded off my segments. I'm just going to go in again with a V-tool just to clean up the bottom, get a nice crisp finish in there. So the next stage, once you've done this, is to do the little scrolls here, which again is good practice for setting in. When I'm teaching, I get people to practice various kind of chip carving patterns for setting these in, which is very useful. I'm just going to roughly draw in, not going to be too precise because I'm going to use my chisel as a much more accurate guide, but just so I know roughly where I'm going. And I'm just going to set in with this number 8 here. I'm going to pop it in there. The trick with setting in is always to lean your chisel in to the bit that you want to keep, otherwise you undercut. So you just want to lean in a little bit. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to slide round a little bit. I'm going to come and do the same this side. I'm going to continue that on with number 6 just to take it round the corner. Then I'm going to do a nice little slicing thing here. I'm just going to set that chisel in. I'm going to slice that around there and take that out as neatly as you can, like that. Should ideally, like that, come out in one neat piece. That was with the number 8. I'm going to just carry that on with the number 6 again. If it's not quite all out, you can just go in and just by hand press it, just set that in a little bit. Take that last piece out. Right, with the number 8 now, no, that's number 6. The number 6 now, I'm just going to do that final little concave piece. This is the stage, if you wanted to sand it up like I've done here, this is the stage you would sand it up. I'm not going to now, so that if you're doing a nice concave piece cut here, you'll end up with a lovely crisp edge, whereas if you try and sand it afterwards you lose that edge. So if I was going to sand it, I would sand it now, but I'm just going to cut that now, because that's the final finishing touch. I'm just going to come in, just come up to that scroll and try and get it a nice flow up there. Same again, I'm just going to cut that in up to the scroll and just flow that line up to that last bit, and that's it. The final bit is obviously take it off the backing board. If you get a nice wide flat chisel, pop it underneath somewhere where it hasn't got any delicate bits, and give it a big bash and it just comes off. What happens is it tends to break the paper down the middle, so you just sand that off, and there you are.